Now on to the shimming. I've got these shims that are steel. They are 0.031 of an inch. I don't know what that converts to in millimeters, but these are 0.031. And I've shaped them so that they fit nicely in between these cylinders, and they have a little bend in them to make sure that they don't go anywhere and to allow the coolant to pass by them more easily. So all we're going to do is tap them in. Another note about this is that I'm telling you this is 0.031 of an inch, and I'm not showing you how to gauge it. I mean, you can use feeler gauges and you can try to, you know, double check yours that 0.031 is a snug fit, but I've done many engines, I've shimmed many engines, and every single time the 0.031 is the perfect fit. So you want it to just be, you know, enough that you could kind of push it in yourself, but it needs a little tap, but you don't want it to be loose, and you don't want it to be so tight that you can't wiggle it out yourself. You want it to gonna have a nice firm grab when that's in there. You want to make sure that if it's too tight, then you could have expansion issues, and you can actually, you know, potentially expand the cylinder this way, causing issues. You want to make sure it's just snug. So I've got my trusty small hammer and a small wooden block with a nice flat bottom, and for all four of these shims, all we're going to do is just place the block on top and just tap it in. You might, I mean, you could tap the top of it, but you might dent it. So I just use the block, kind of alternate sides. And ta-da, we have a shim. So you have to make sure that this, you cannot catch a nail on this, because if it is above the cylinder liner, you know, above the deck, then you can cause head gasket problems. So you want to make sure that this goes just a tiny bit below, the top of this, you know, of the cylinder. So to do that, you can either use like a punch or something similar to just kind of tap, you know, alternate and tap the edges. I'll do that with a punch just in a second. So if you can't find your punch, or you don't have a punch like me, you can just use a 1/4 inch extension or something similar that has a little flat top, and you just lightly tap it in until that is just below the surface. And then you can't catch a nail on it or anything, and that's it. Just for the sake of showing you, all four shims are installed. So I just want to note one more thing. You absolutely do not want to hammer this surface. You do not want to hammer this, because if you have any kind of strange marring, pits, anything on this surface, you're going to have a bad time. I promise. Do not use this or the hammer. Only use the wood, because it's very soft. It won't mar the surface. Make sure your wood is flat, it doesn't have any debris in it. You know, only tap on the ends when you're tapping them further down, because if you don't, you're gonna have head sealing issues.